Hello, hello. Don't bother to adjust your sets. It is another dark episode of the Jay Shafe Show where I'm going to talk about Bo Burnham's Inside, his latest special on Netflix. Bo Burnham is a YouTube homegrown talent who has gone on to become film director. He directed and I believe wrote Grade 8 um, last year. A really, really good movie of a young girl in going through Grade 8 in the very kind of modern thing. And that this little girl um, is, she hosts a little YouTube channel where she gives lifestyle advice on how to be confident. And the thing being that when you turn off the camera, she is anything but. And, you know, basically kind of how she's dealing with the modern world, and not in a way that is condemning the modern world, but in a way that is definitely taking apart the world. And I would really recommend that. That is my first full exposure to Bo Burnham. On YouTube itself, I can't say that he's actually particularly appealed to me up until now. I actually went back after I've watched Inside, which I will get to, um, and I started watching a bit of one of his comedy things, and I went, "Ugh, I don't like this." Um, but Inside is an interesting project. It is something that, well, he, like everybody else, has been trapped inside for the last year. So he decided to um, film himself, direct, write, and, star in this special where basically it's him in front of a camera in a room for a year. He is a bit of a song and song guy, singing songs, which is not usually my thing, but um, a lot of the really biting, satirical kind of things did actually were actually pretty good. It's one of these things. It's one of the things of like, well, I'm doing this because he kind of starts off by saying like, I'm doing this because I need to do something, or else I'm just going to put a bullet in my head. And he's, haha, joking in that way that you can tell that there's a good way that he's not joking, that he is in a certain amount of distress. And yes, this is leavened with spoonfuls of sugar of some of the songs that he does, though some of the songs are equally as bleak. He does a thing on kind of privilege while he's talking to his sock puppet on his hand, which kind of turns really dark and bleak, and you're going to threatening this poor sock creature like with non-existence if it doesn't behave and doesn't complain, about its lot in life and how it's being oppressed. It's like, no, you better be nice, you better be polite, or else I'm just going to yank you off my hand and you'll die. You'll end up in that liminal space in a sock drawer somewhere. And yes, it's very dark that way. He has one song in here where he's talking about white women's Instagram, where it's sort of pointing out all the things that just as one group, white women, have a certain thing of how they will post stuff, and it's like, oh, all white women do that. Oh, but it's one of those things of like, well, yes, and white women, I guess, are the easiest target for that, and the easiest target for a white male comedian to be talking about, though you could probably say equally valid things about, white males of a certain age, of what they would be posting on Instagram, or anyone else of any other group. There's something about it of just like about how certain group, we're given this little structure for where we can project stuff into, and we only given a certain number of tools and only a certain way of being kind of allowed of being, and it all kind of comes out that way. And some of us actually is touching, kind of allows for that white woman to be actually touching about stuff, maybe about a dead mother. I think a dead mother. It's either a dead mother, just a mother who's in a faraway city, and dad's not paying attention at all. Yeah, yeah. Um, but it's also just about, you know, everyone's always talking. Everyone has to have an opinion about everything. You know, everyone has to broadcast themselves uh, into the internet, out into the world. We're obsessed with it now, which, as you might have noticed, is what I'm doing. And indeed, a part of the thing that kind of catches me with this special is that I've sort of been doing the same thing with, none of the talent or any of the audience of a Bo Burnham for the last year myself, just kind of a project of filming myself and talking. Um, I think I'm been lucky in that I've been able to go to work and have a really good support structure, but it's still been really stressful for me, and I'm extremely fortunate and lucky dude in this world. And I'm sure people probably look at Bo Burnham, of a successful YouTuber, and my God, he released a movie, a goddamn really good movie, um, last year. And it's like, holy shit, this is somebody who is super successful. How could he be whining? It's like, well, because we've all been under lots of stress. And just because you are successful in a lot of ways doesn't mean that exempts you from all the stresses and worries of the world. So um, it's an intense thing. It is comedic and funny in spaces. It's also dark and sometimes to the point of it feels like it's over dramatized. Sometimes sometimes I'm slightly going, okay, you're amping this up to dramatize it, um, or are you? It's one of those things of like, how much of this is Bo Burnham being a performance artist, which is what he is. It's like he's putting on a show, razzmatazz. He's got all the songs, um, but there's also I think that the big thing is that you can kind of tell that this is. Um, it also feels like a human being who's been trapped in a room for a year, and kind of reflecting on the only way I'm actually having connections with anyone else is through the internet, through social media, through kind of this weird crucible that we're all thrown into at the moment. And it's very kind of like, at the moment, very, undiluted by personal contact. And just like how damaging that can be, how not nurturing that is. I mean, there's a lot of really great things about the internet, and um, it's one of those things where people's like, oh God, if we didn't have the internet right now, what would our lives be like for this year? And it's like, I wonder what they would have been like. There's a part of me that thinks, wow, this has been so great. I'm so glad I've had this part of my life to thrust myself into. But there's another part of me that goes, well, I know another part of me is like, this is also a part that I need to regulate and kind of take a step back from and make sure it doesn't become all consuming. It doesn't, like, I'm not empty on the inside. Um, and I think that's a part of what this special by Bo Burnham is kind of speaking to, even if you don't always agree with the guy and he maybe sometimes rubs you the wrong way. Yeah, yeah. So I figured I just would chat about that tonight on this dark episode of the Jay Shay Show. All right, more videos later.